Good evening, everyone. It's dark, but it's time! Tonight we're playing the third book in the Lone Wolf Kai series definitive edition, The Caverns of Kalte. It's actually the first game book that my mother bought me when I was a kid, so I think it should go well since I should know it quite well, actually. So let's start with the story so far. In the northern land of Summerland, it's been the custom for many centuries for parents to send their most gifted children to the monastery of the Kai on the occasion of their 7th birthday. There they are taught the skills and disciplines of their noble ancestors. The Kai are masters of their heart, and the children in their charge love and respect them in spite of the hardships of their training. You are Lone Wolf, and you are now the last of the Kai of Summerland. 1 year ago, your beloved homeland was invaded by the ancient enemy of your people, the Dark Lords of Helgedad. The initial attack devastated the Kai Monastery. All of your brave warrior order were in attendance for the Feast of Femarn, the celebration of the first day of spring. You were the sole survivor. You made a perilous journey to Holmgard, the capital of Summerland, where King Ulnar V had set you upon a desperate quest for help. Your mission was fraught with dangers and great urgency, for Summerland was being swiftly overrun. During your quest, you learned that your country had been betrayed by one of its own magicians, Vonotar the Traitor, in exchange for the promise of the secrets of the evil right-handed magic wielded by the Nadziranim, the sorcerers of the Darklands. He married it with his own magic and obtained an unprecedented power. His agents were abroad, seeking to kill you at every opportunity, but your skill and determination crushed their evil aims. You destroyed the enemy leader Dark Lord Zagarna, Archlord of the Darklands, at the gates of Holmgard, having returned from Duranor at the head of a great allied fleet. Much of Summerland was ruined during the invasion. The rich farmlands were laid waste, and many towns and villages were razed. But the Sumlanding are a resilient people, and undaunted by the task ahead, they set about rebuilding Summerland with such determination that now, 1 year later, the scars inflicted by Dark Lord Zagarna and his mighty army are few. For the crucial part that you played in the great victory, the king bestowed upon you the rank and title of Freiherr of Summerland. It is a rare honor for one so young. The ruins of the Kai Monastery and much of the surrounding lands are now Freilund, under your protection. Work to rebuild the monastery was due to commence when disturbing news from the north prompted the king to summon you back to the capital. Many merchants, returning from the summer trading expedition to Kalte, told of the fall of the Brumalmark, the leader of the Kaltese people, who are commonly referred to as Ice Barbarians by the Lastlanders after years of sporadic and bloody raids. The description they gave of the hunchbacked magician who has succeeded the fierce Brumalmark fits only one man, Vonotar the Traitor. After the defeat of Dark Lord Zagarna's army, Vonotar escaped to the frozen wastes of Kalte. He made his way to the ice fortress of Ikaya, where by deception he tricked the cruel Brumalmark into adopting him as his personal magician. It was a mistake that cost the barbarian leader his fortress and his life. The news that Vonotar still lives spread like wildfire throughout Summerland. Dozens of Sumlanding marched to the capital and demanded of the king that Vonotar be made to pay for his treachery. So great was the outcry that the king gave his solemn pledge that the evil traitor will be brought back to Holmgard and made to stand trial for his crimes. For you, Lone Wolf, the king's promise is one that only you can keep. It is the start of a quest that will pit you against a hated foe in a place colder and harsher than any you have known. It will take you to the Caverns of Kalte. So like last time, the homebrew rules will be if we die, like it happened with the Elgash last time, we'll go back to the previous choices, take another choice and try again. If we die again, we go back, take another choice, and etc, etc, until no choices are left. If we die in battle and there's an option to flee, we're going to take the flee option. there's no such option, we're going to go back to our previous choice. If it's not possible, we're going to simply skip the combat and just pretend that we won, so that the story won't take forever to finish, and so that we won't be there tomorrow afternoon. Just like last time, I also completed the due preparations for the journey, getting a new Kai discipline, taking new items. If anybody wants to pitch in and give your opinion to make a different choice, it's possible as well. So, for the new Kai discipline for this book, I took tracking, simply because we're going to the icy wastes of Kalte. Sounds great to have kind of tracking in the snow. Sounds relevant, sounds kind of powerful, and I think we regretted a little bit last time in the previous two books when we didn't have tracking. It kind of proved itself useful in the Tarnellen Tunnel, but unfortunately we didn't have that, so we had to rely onto the magic spear instead. So that's it for the 7th Kai discipline that we get at the Kai rank of Guardian. For the items, we can take 2 new items in our adventure, on top of everything that we had at the end of Fire on the Water, including the famous Summer Sword and the Crystal Star Pendant of Banedon. So I think what would be good is a padded leather waistcoat for a +2 endurance, and a meal, just in case. Sometimes we're stuck having to take a meal even if we have hunting. Since we're going into the icy wastes, maybe hunting won't be a choice often. Depends. Well, we'll see. So I think maybe a backup meal will be a good option, since we have already a potion of Lump's Pure, a concentrated one actually, +5 instead of +4. So that's the choices so far for the beginning of this game book, which give us 16 + 10 in combat skill for a total of 26 because of the Summer Sword and the shield. Summer Sword with proficiency, by the way, and the +2 for the padded leather waistcoat endurance for a total of 31. And they gave us also 10 rounds plus random number, but we had 41 left over from the last adventure, which means we're over 50 anyway, so that's 50 gold crowns in the belt pouch. I thought it would be very useful to the Great North, but in case we cross the path of some kind of merchant or icy barbarian, well, we'll have money to ride them. We'll see. So that's about it for the preparations. Kai discipline, 2 items. Yep, same rules of last time. So a little word of Kai of Wisdom before starting out. Your mission will be fraught with great danger. Kalte is a bleak and hostile land, and your foe is a master of cunning. Use the map at the front of this book to help you plot your course to the ice fortress of Ikaya. Up here. Make notes as you progress through the story, for they will be of help to you in future adventures. Many things that you find will aid you during your mission. Some items will be of use in future lone wolf adventures, and others may be red herrings of no real use at all. So try to be selective in what you decide to keep. There are several ways to the ice fortress of Ikaya, but only one will ensure you can capture Vonotar and return to Summerland with a minimum of danger. A wise choice of Kai disciplines and a great deal of courage should enable any player to complete the mission, no matter how low their initial combat skill or endurance point score may be. Successful completion of previous lone wolf adventures is not essential for the completion and success of this quest. The betrayal of your country can only be avenged by bringing Vonotar the traitor to justice. This is your mission for Summerland and the Kai. Section 1. Even before you accepted the task of bringing Vonotar to justice, preparations were being made for your voyage to Kalte. The captain of the Sumlanding warship Cardinal, having returned from a long Kalter sea patrol, was ordered to await your arrival at Anscaven. During the night, food, ice equipment, and canoe dog teams were taken on board. The mission was highly secret. Only senior members of the crew were told the true nature of the voyage that lay ahead. The plan is to set you ashore at Ale Bluff, drop anchor, and await your return. An elite team of trusted guides will lead you from the bluff to Ikea. Once inside the ice fortress, you are to hunt down and capture Vonotar, and then return with your guides to the ship. Your mission must be accomplished within 30 days at most, for winter is closing in and no ship can withstand the grip of the Kalte pack ice. If you do not return in time, the captain will be forced to set sail without you. For 6 days, the Cardinal sails across the stormy Kalte Sea without running into a storm, but every day the temperature steadily drops until a layer of ice covers the decks. On the morning of the 7th day, the snow-capped island of Tola is sighted on the horizon. Soon after, a light wind rises from the west. Tola here. So, the voyage through the sea is already almost done. At first, there appears to be a little danger, but within half an hour a furious blizzard is blowing, and all sight of land quickly vanishes in the scudding drift. All day the furious gale rages. Tremendous winds slice the tops of the huge grey waves, and water crashes over the decks, masts and rigging of the ship, freezing almost immediately into solid ice. The sides of the ship become several feet thick with seawater. It is not until early evening that the weather clears, and although the wind still blows strongly, the force of the gale is spent. You are soon to discover that the gale has blown the ship nearly 30 miles off course. Along the lip of the Luke ice shelf, you know that to return to Ale Bluff will waste a precious day, so you decide to land on the ice shelf and start your mission from there. As the last of the canoe dogs are carried ashore, your guides tell you of the 2 possible routes to Ikea from here. The first route involves a 130-mile trek to Cloudmaker Mountain, and then, following the difficult terrain of the Viad Glacier, a further 100 miles must be covered before you arrive at the ice fortress. The alternative route involves a longer journey of nearly 180 miles into the Road Basin, followed by a trek of 100 miles through Storm Giant Pass to Ikea. Even if the weather and your luck hold good, either route will involve 10 days of hard trekking before you reach your goal. You shall consult the map of Kalte before making your decision. So 2 options. Attempt the shorter but more difficult Viad Glacier route, or take the longer but easier Road Basin and Storm Giant Pass route. Here's the Luke ice shelf. I guess there might be a Ceridian. Not really, only for Giak words. So from the ice shelf, we either take the route through Road Basin here and the Storm Giant Pass, which is a kind of a detour, or take the Viad Glacier, Cloudmaker, Mountain here, on the ice to Ikea. So it's a 10 days trek, 10 days to come back, 20 days. We have 30 days for the mission. It leaves 10 days left over. Last time it went well with the harder routes, I think. So let's go for the Via Glacier. Shorter, but harder route. Your transport to Ikaya consists of 2 sledges, each drawn by a team of 6 canoe dogs. This sturdy breed is native to Kalte and makes for ideal sledge dogs. Their thick tawny coats and powerful chests, as well as their vigor and enthusiasm even in the coldest climates, make them well suited to the work ahead. On board each sledge is enough food and equipment for the mission. Your 3 guides, Irian, Fenor, and Dice, are all experienced trappers. They are skilled at survival in the icy desert and know its many unseen dangers. Once the dogs are harnessed, you and Dice climb aboard your sledge and signal to the others to lead the way. As you stare across the frozen expanse of the Luke ice shelf, you can see a white glare on the distant horizon. This is the Via Glacier wall, the point where the flow of ice meets the frozen sea. Through the crisp, clear air of Kalte, it looks no more than 6 miles away at most, but in reality it is nearly 60. You make good progress on the first day, and as darkness approaches, you decide to set up camp for the night. You halt inside a circle of ice pillars that have been forced upwards by the constantly moving ice shelf. The sledges are drawn together and the tent is erected beside them. Once the canvas is secured and the canoe dogs have been settled for the night, you begin to prepare your evening meal. Suddenly a terrifying roar is heard outside the tent. "By the gods!" cries Irene. "A Baknar!" Baknar are large carnivorous creatures that dwell near the Kalte coastline. Their usual prey are aquatic birds, such as gallings or small ostrils, that live at the sea's edge. But this Baknar is being attracted by the scent of the dogs. It is going to attack and eat several of your sledge dog team. Different choices of Kai disciplines here. Hunting, animal kinship that we don't have, and if we have neither of these skills or don't want to use them, we can only try to stop the Baknar from slaughtering the dog teams by using force. So maybe hunting will help us to evade a fight actually. So 204. Or make the fight easier, maybe. Baknar are fierce and dangerous creatures. They are afraid of only one thing: fire. Grabbing a torch from the pile of equipment, you light it and leave the tent. The wind has become much stronger since you first made camp. It whips the fine snow into small whirlwinds that sting your eyes. A moving shadow to your right betrays the Baknar as it comes loping towards you. It is preparing to pounce when it sees your gathering torch and shrieks with terror. Moments later, it has disappeared into the darkness. A quick check of the canoe dogs reveals that they are all safe, but understandably nervous. To ensure that Baknar does not attack again, you each take it in turns to sit watch that evening, with torches and weapons at the ready. One fight dodged. The following morning, you awake at dawn to the welcome sight of Fenor preparing a hot breakfast. He passes you a steaming bowl, and gratefully you eat its contents. Then you begin loading the equipment onto the sledges for today's journey. It is a beautiful morning. The wind has dropped and the air is fresh and clear. The canoe dogs are strong and eager to be off, and for most of the day the ice is smooth and the running easy. By nightfall, you have reached Siem Island, a pinnacle of granite rising through the ice shelf to a height of 400 feet. You make camp to the leeward side of the island in order to avoid the worst of the night winds. Siem Island over here. Almost at the glacier already. Pick a random number from the random number table. We're going to use the D10 like the both last times. Oh, not the D8, the D10. Zero. Which sounds bad. The next day is bitterly cold. A fierce northerly wind blows relentlessly, beating your face and drying your lips until they crack and bleed. Your nose begins to run, but the mucus instantly freezes on your lips. The sun is obscured by a thick layer of falling snow that mutes the light. Snow mounds and small potholes in the ice become invisible, and the journey is often brought to a halt when a sledge overturns or jams. Great strain is put on your eyes by the constant glare as you search the rough ice, which can be very hazardous. By midday, your vision has become a blur. If you have the Kai discipline of feeling, turn to 17, or not having the skill. So we have that skill. It has served its purpose a lot in both previous adventures. You recognize that you are suffering the first effects of snow blindness. Unless you act now, the more painful symptoms of this malady will soon appear. If you wish to cover your eyes with a blindfold and keep them covered at least until you make camp later today, turn to 62. Or if you do not like the idea of being blindfolded and prefer to risk becoming snowblind, well, let's respect our healing skill, shall we? That means putting on a blindfold. Anyway, we have 2 other guides helping us here. And unless they suffer from snowblind as well, everything should be fine. As gradually the light fades, a blizzard arises. It blows across the open ice shelf and batters relentlessly against the tent. The flapping canvas and the pain in your fingers and toes are beginning to wear on your nerves. Now you wish that you had never set foot in this icy hell. I think we went to the night quite quickly there. Do I have the right number? Right, 62, okay. In the middle of the night, the wind rips away the edge of the canvas and the full force of the gale scatters your equipment and provisions. You are forced to spend the rest of the night on your elbows, clinging with frozen fingers to the edge of the tent. Your sleeping furs fill with a half-frozen slush, and by dawn your clothes are stiff with ice. Lose 3 endurance points, or only 1 if you have applied Bacnar oil. Well, we didn't kill any Bacnar, so we don't have any Bacnar oil. So, 3 endurance points less. Should come back quickly with the healing skill anyway. On 67. The gale gradually stops, the air clears, and the Viad Glacier is revealed in all its grand splendor. The even surface of ice crystals look like a carpet of snow glittering with gems of every hue, yellow, violet, blue, green, orange, and crimson. Yet the crystals are of such brilliance in the sunlight, they will put any jewel in the shade. The ice wall rises over 800 feet, and for the main part it is a smooth but very steep climb. Although the weather is fine, it takes the best part of a day to climb the glacier's edge. All of the equipment has to be unloaded and taken to the top of the glacier, where it is repacked onto the sledges. The canoe dogs do hardly anything but fight, and the canoe dogs do hardly anything but fight, and your food is so shaken up in the climb that the gruesome mush is all that remains of it. By the end of the climb, you are exhausted. With daylight fading fast, you decide to pitch camp in the shelter of a natural ice bowl and settle down to a much-needed night's rest. Pick a number on the random number table. If you possess tracking, deduct 2. You do. So lower the number is better, I think. -1. Total 6 or less. Okay. 5. For 3 days and nights, you fight your way northwards across the tortuous glacier. Falls, bruises, cut shins, awkward crevasses, razor-edged ice, and the constant bitter wind all conspire to sap your strength. However, you count yourself very lucky to have so far avoided a blizzard, and after a fatiguing trek you eventually reach the shelter of Cloudmaker Mountain, in time to set up camp here for the night. This huge mountain is over 13,000 feet high, and shaped like a giant shark's fin. As the cold west winds blow around its peak, great plumes of cloud trail away across the Viat Glacier. It is this strange phenomenon which gives the mountain its apt name. Fortunately, you are able to find an ideal campsite among the shattered fissures at its rock-strewn base. Quickly, the tent is up, and you are under canvas once again. You have left the tent to answer a call of nature, when you discover, purely by chance, what appears to be the faint glow of torchlight seeping from a small crack in the rocks above. If you have the Kai discipline of 6 sense, or we can investigate or ignore the light. 6 sense go to 98. Sense the presence of someone or something lurking inside a fissure. You are unable to tell for sure if their intentions are good or evil. So we're already there, the Cloudmaker Mountain, kind of. We can explore the fissure or return to the tent. I think it would be wise just to take a little peek, see what's going on there. You have climbed 15 feet to a thin ice ledge. From here, you get a clear view of the fissure. You think you catch a glimpse of someone in the distance, when suddenly the ice gives way beneath your feet, and you fall headlong in a roaring tumble of granite and snow. You prepare yourself for the shock of impact, but you plunge straight into a crevasse, hidden beneath a layer of powdery snow. What seems like forever, you crash and tumble downwards. Finally, you come to rest in a deep drift of soft snow, some 200 feet below the surface. Blinded, dazed, and half suffocated by the powdery snow, you begin to claw your way out of this icy grave. When eventually you free yourself, you are astounded by the sight that meets your eyes. A vast corridor disappears away into the distance as far as your eye can see. Huge stalactites of crystal hang from its icy ceiling, and the constant drip of melting snow fills the echoing corridor with a strangely musical sound. You shout for help until your throat becomes dry and sore, but your guides do not hear you. You still have your weapons, gold crowns, and any special items, but you are without a backpack. Okay, but you are without a backpack. Such an horrible misadventure. It's still in your tent. Okay, right. Looking up, you see that the hole through which you have fallen is now just a tiny speck on the roof of the passage. You notice that the strange light of the ice corridor seems to come from large stone bowls hanging from the ceiling. These are Shanti Malair bowls, the source of eternal light brought to Magnamon by the ancients many ages ago. You soon realize that your guides may never find out where you are, and quickly you resolve to follow the corridor in the hope of finding another exit. After 2 hours of walking, you arrive at a junction where the corridor splits in two. Oh, that sounds really so bad. It sounds like the Tombs of the Ancients in the first book. Okay, so Kai, discipline of tracking, or do not possess the discipline, can follow the passage by turning left or right. So let's use tracking. Guess it should prove useful. Your Kai discipline of tracking reveals to you that the right tunnel heads east and the left tunnel heads north. You're now directly beneath Cloudmaker Mountain. Consult the map of Kalte at the beginning of this book before you decide which tunnel you shall enter. Okay, so the east tunnel here will bring us closer to the Viat Glacier. Come back to the glacier, actually. And the north tunnel might lead eventually to Kaya. I think there's more chances than that the east tunnel will lead to an exit towards the glacier, or on the other side, maybe, something like that. Overall, anyway, it's really a toss of a coin. We take east, it's 199. After following the tunnel for over a mile, its ice walls open into a beautiful grotto. Meltwater cascades over a large outcrop of silvery mineral, which cast a dazzling display of reflections on the surrounding surfaces. You can see that there is a small cave located behind the waterfall that disappears into the silvery rock. Looking around, you are unable to see any other exits from the grotto. You can enter the cave, or turn back and take the other passage. Might be an exit at the end of the cave, actually. 82. The cave is very cold and slopes steeply away into the darkness. You have covered 60 yards before you notice a light in the distance. As you get nearer, you hear noises. They're animal noises. We don't have the Kai discipline of animal kinship. So two choices. Draw your weapon and charge towards the noises, or creep closer and spy on whatever is lurking there. I think it would be wiser to creep closer and spy. We have the Kai discipline of camouflage, so it should become India, I think. As you peer into the large ice cavern beyond, you are horrified to see three large, ugly creatures roaring and clawing at each other. They are fighting over a mutilated Baknar, a carcass lying at their feet. They are Kalkoth, wild and savage predators of Kalte. If you have smeared Baknar oil into your skin, we didn't have any Baknar oil. If you have not coated yourself in Baknar oil, you can avoid the Kalkoth by retracing your steps to the other tunnel, or launch a surprise attack on the squabbling creatures. I don't see really the point attacking those beasts right now. I think we should just go the other way, see what's going on. 84. By the way, we got back our 3 lost endurance points since then. We're back to 31 because of the eating skill. So after 100 yards, you find yourself standing in a huge cavern that spreads out in all directions, for as far as your eye can see. You have entered the Caverns of Kalte, and you are now looking upon an uncharted world that few some landing have ever seen. This massive underground labyrinth was constructed by the ancients many ages before the some landing or the Kaltes set foot in Magnamon. Its wide avenues, temples, plazas, and arenas once echoed to the sounds of a species of creature for whom the eyes held no discomforts, the Shanti. Shanti bowls still hang from the ceiling, bathing the caverns in their eternal light. You trek steadily northwards for nearly 6 hours until you arrive at the bank of a fast-flowing meltwater river. On the opposite bank, you see a tunnel leading off into the distance. You can find no apparent way of crossing the deep water, except by using the ice floes that are bobbing up and down on the surface. By jumping from one floe to the next, you could get to the opposite bank, but it will not be an easy task. You will have to jump at least 3 of the icy slabs in order to reach the other side. Pick a random number on the random number table. If you have the Kai discipline of hunting, you may add 2 to the number we do. If your endurance point total is less than 8, deduct 2. It's not the case. It's a D10 roll plus 2. Which is 3. Not really good rolls tonight. 3 or lower. So that's a bad outcome. Oh my god. Oh, okay, no. There's a number there. Woo. You slip and fall into the icy water. As soon as you go under, the shock of the intense cold makes you scream out in pain. Cramp grips your legs and you find it impossible to move them. You fight with all your remaining strength to reach the safety of the bank. But it is a desperate struggle and one that you may easily lose. Pick a number from the random number table. If you have applied Bacnar oil, deduct 2. You don't. The total is 7 or less. You are lucky. Okay, let's be lucky for once tonight. Oh, 1. Okay. We're steady. 1 all the time. You are able to drag yourself from the icy water using only your hands and lie exhausted on the bank. Lose 3 endurance points. And continue to 176. The other option was dying in icy water. You run for the tunnel entrance, quickly leaving the icy river far behind. You follow the tunnel for countless hours as it wends its way northwards. It becomes impossible to recall what hour of the day it is. The perpetual half-light of these caverns never changes. Through fissures in the wall of the tunnel, you catch glimpses of other chambers, and it makes you marvel at the sheer scale of this ancient labyrinth. You are nearly asleep on your feet when suddenly you detect the aroma of cooked meat. It is coming from a chamber just a few yards ahead to your right. The delicious aroma reminds you that you are very hungry and must soon eat a meal. A meal that we don't have because the backpack is in the tent. Should investigate the chamber. Maybe they're friendlies. I highly doubt it, but yeah, they don't look like friendlies at all. You can see 2 men in ragged clothes huddled together beside a fire that is burning inside a metal bowl. Over the flames, the skinned carcass of a small animal is roasting in a spit. The men are hold and mumble incessantly under their breath as they stare deeply into the flames. You can approach them and ask to share their food. You can raise our weapon and attack them, or simply ignore them and continue our way. We're kind of in deep shit right now, so if they're allies, it will be good news. But if they're not, we can simply kill them, I guess. 295. On seeing you enter, the two old men jump to their feet and flee from the chamber by way of a smaller passageway. Their screams of panic echo loudly throughout the caverns. You are very hungry and quickly consume the cooked animal meat, pausing only to spit out the bones. You then notice that the fire is burning in a strange, half-spherical metal bowl. The other half of the sphere lies on the icy floor nearby, and you find that both halves fit together perfectly. When you open it, you discover that the fire still burns inside. If you wish to keep this fire sphere, place it inside your jacket and mark it on your action chart as a special item. Sure. You have money to pay it anyway. They come back. Sounds really useful to have readily available magic fire. You also notice a small triangle of bluestone lying on the icy floor. It is attached to a neck chain and was probably dropped by the old men as they fled. If you wish to keep the bluestone triangle, put it around your neck and tuck it into your jacket. Well, find them again, we can give it back. Blue stone triangle. Special item again. Then we can return to the tunnel and continue our way. Unless you have just eaten a meal, you lose 3 endurance points from hunger. We're fine. If currently you possess enough food for 1 meal, you may now consume blah blah blah. You continue along the tunnel for over a mile before becoming too tired to go on any further. You stop to rest for a while and fall into a deep sleep. You awaken feeling refreshed, but have no idea just how long you have been sleeping. The strange light of these caverns never changes, be it day or night above. Stoically you press on, covering mile after mile as you pass through a seemingly never-ending series of huge ice halls, filled with towering pillars of crystal. In one vast chamber, you are mesmerized by the beautiful sight of its shimmering crystal ceiling. But beyond this chamber lies an even greater spectacle. A narrow passage leads onto a ledge running along. A narrow passage leads on to a ledge running around the brink of a huge chasm. It is more than half a mile wide. As you edge your way around this awesome void, you try not to look down into its windswept depth. You have been on the ledge for only a few minutes, when a noise behind you makes you glance back over your shoulder. To your horror, you see that you are being followed along the ledge by a monstrous two-headed serpent. If you have the Kai disciplines of either tracking or animal kinship, we have tracking. So, 229. You recognize the serpent to be a Javek, a two-headed and deadly poisonous ice snake. It moves very quickly and you know that you will not be able to outrun it along this narrow ledge. If you possess a fire sphere that we just took. If we don't have that, we have to fight the Javek. So, fire sphere. You remove the fire sphere from your jacket, quickly split open its two halves and place them upon the narrow ledge behind. The Javek hisses loudly, both its head weaving and darting at you in rage. It is desperate to attack, but it will not come near the halves of the fire sphere. Instead, it attempts to slither around the flames, but the ledge is very narrow, no more than a foot wide at most. It cannot pass by without singeing himself. Angry but powerless, the strange reptile resigns itself to its failure. With a last spiteful hiss, reluctantly it pulls back along the ledge and retreats into the passageway beyond. You can now retrieve your fire sphere and continue your exploration. Onward to 269. So 2 fights evaded so far. Great. You reach a tunnel on the far side of the chasm and follow it for many miles. Eventually you arrive at an innermost chamber, the ceiling of which towers easily 500 feet above you. An icy wind blowing through the many fissures that crack the ceiling whips around this gigantic subterranean hall. 2 options. We can search for a way to climb up and out through the fissures, or press on and look for an exit on the far side of this grand hall. I'm not sure after all the trekking we've done underground if it would be a good idea to just get out. Might be in the middle of nowhere, completely lost. So I think it would be better to press on and find the exit on the other side of the hall. We are also back to full endurance after those sections without combat. Thank you, Fire Sphere. You discover a low passage that opens out into a cavern full of stalagmites. There are 2 exits in the opposite ice wall. Both disappear into darkness. In the snow around the entrances to both tunnels there are many strange tracks. Discipline of tracking 75. The tracks have been made by dangerous carnivorous creatures called Baknar. If you run into them in the confines of a dark and narrow tunnel, your chances of survival will be very slim indeed. Although your Kai discipline has enabled you to identify the tracks, you are unable to sense which tunnel the Baknar now occupy. Well, great! So it means it's useless. Can take left or right. Are there any kind of indications? Section. Left or right. But we know that we'll die. On one side or the other. And we took east, there was monsters. East is kind of right, maybe. So let's go left to just be different. After a short walk, you arrive at a grand ice hall that is full of crystal stalagmites and stalactites. The floor is covered with animal tracks and bones, yet the vast hall seems empty of life. The northern wall is a completely smooth surface of granite blocks stretching upwards to the icy ceiling, over 100 feet above. You are looking at the wall when slowly you realize that these are the foundation stones of Ikaya. Oh, alright. Finally, you have arrived at the Ice Fortress. Not sure it's a really good news. But hey, good job not dying at another ground place. Partially obscured by a large mound of crystals, you can just make out a ramp leading up to a massive stone door in the fortress's subterranean wall. Your discovery brings with it a renewed hope. You are able to gain entry to Ikaya by this way, and quickly capture Vonotar. There is still enough time remaining for you to reach your ship, the Cardinal, before the pack ice begins to freeze. I just wonder how we will get back without any dogs, but that's another story. We should 2 options actually, either cross the hall and examine the great stone door, or search the floor, the bone-littered floor. Should pause to search the floor in case there's something useful there. And we'll check the door. You discover that many of the bones scattered among the stalagmites are of human origin. Shattered skulls, skeletal hands, and ribbed cages lie half buried in the ice. You are about to abandon your search when your eye is caught by a small box. It is made of finely carved bone. Oh, we can pick the box or not. So, pick the box. The bone box contains a beautiful diamond. Its many facets gleam and sparkle, even in the dim half-light of the ice hall. In Summerland, a jewel of this size and quality will be worth thousands of gold crowns. We're rich. Let's stop the adventuring days. So we can put that into our pocket. Another special item. Kind of our pockets full right now. We can examine the fortress door. As you climb the slippery stone ramp, the sound of cracking ice makes you spin around. The large mound of crystals at the base of the ramp is starting to move. These crystals are alive. You stare with growing disbelief as the mound is transformed into a writhing mass of crystal coils. Slowly the coils unwind, and a terrible ice creature slithers towards you. You can evade the creature and run towards the stone door, or stand our ground and fight it. Well, let's see what's happening at the stone door, and if we don't have any other choices, we'll fight the creature. As you reach the massive door, desperately you cast your eyes across it in the hope of discovering a way to make it open. The door is completely smooth. It has no handle, lock or keyhole. The creature will soon reach the top of the ramp, and you are about to cry out in sheer desperation when you notice a block of granite set into the nearby wall. It has a small triangle cut into its surface. If you possess a blue stone triangle, we do. You remove the blue stone triangle from around your neck and press it into the granite wall. It is a perfect fit. Immediately you feel the tremor running through the ledge on which you are standing, followed by the grinding noise of stone on stone. The door opens, but after it has opened less than 3 feet, it begins to close again. Without a moment's hesitation, you dive into the fortress. Seconds later, the door crashes shut behind your back. We can keep the blue stone triangle. Okay, and continue our journey. The corridor in which you now stand is far warmer than the icy cavern outside. For the first time in many days, you can lower the hood of your cloak and remove your mittens without risking frostbite. You notice that the stone passage ascends to a landing, where another passage branches off to the east. Shanty-millar bowls hang at regular intervals along the arched ceiling, their natural light illuminating the intricately carved walls. As you approach the landing, you notice an archway leading into a small room beyond. A strange sight meets your eyes. Ragged furs, pottery shards, and the debris of hundreds of years seem to have been thrown into this chamber. A large lever protrudes from the wall beside the archway. You can investigate the room and the contents, pull the lever, or go eastward. Let's investigate the room before going further. After 10 minutes spent searching the room, you discover an old fur backpack and a long coil of rope. You may take this backpack only if you do not have one. We don't. The long rope counts as 2 backpack items as it takes up extra space. Okay. I'm not sure if we're going to find our previous backpack anymore. Let's note them just a little further down. Not sure if it's matter that it's a fur backpack or not. Later down. Finally satisfied that there is nothing else of value in this junk-filled room, you leave and continue your exploration along the East Passage. You soon reach the bottom of a flight of broad stone steps that ascends northwards to a landing 30 feet above. The center of each step has been worn smooth by the feet of the countless creatures that once inhabited the lower levels of icy Koldikaya. As you climb, you wonder how long you can remain undetected. So far you have neither seen nor heard any other living soul in these deserted passages. You have the element of surprise on your side. You now can only pray that Vonotar is unprepared for an intruder from the depth of his own fortress. You reach the landing and pass through an empty hall towards the darkened archway beyond. Here, the passage splits and branches off towards the east and west. You are hungry and must now eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. I'm not sure that we can hunt here. Kind of weird. Hunting inside a fortress. I guess we're going to lose 3 endurance points. Should get them back soon anyway. Can go east or west. West has been safe so far. You have been walking along the passage for only 5 minutes when it veers sharply northwards. Just ahead, to your left, you can see a large stone door. The lever in the wall beside it is in the upright position and the door is closed. You can pull the lever and open the door, or ignore the door and continue walking northwards. So far, when we looked at stuff, it went well, so let's peek behind the door. The stone portal creaks open, but then it grinds to an abrupt halt halfway across. The gap is narrow and you are only just able to squeeze through to the chamber beyond. The air in the room is cold and stale. The chamber has lain undisturbed for many thousands of years. Dozens of stone shelves are stacked high with bottles and flasks. On a table in the center lies a beautiful pack filled with different colored potions. You can examine the ancient potions or leave the chamber. So let's examine them. Technically we have the healing skill, so it might prove useful there. The pack contains 4 ornate glass vials. They hold red, orange, green and black liquids. We only examine each liquid once. Which one do you wish to examine? The red liquid might be a Lomspur potion. After wiping away the grime from the stopper, you unscrew it and carefully sniff the red liquid it contains. Can I discipline a feeling? 233. You recognize the liquid to be distilled Lomspur, a herb with great healing properties. This concentrated potion of Lomspur is powerful enough to restore 5 endurance points. We got back our potion of concentrated Lomspur. If we never find the other one. Go back to section 10 and decide next course of action. The orange liquid. I'm not sure it's really safe to open every bottle. The stopper in this vial is jammed, and you have to take great care not to break the slender glass neck. Gradually it loosens, and you are able to sniff the orange liquid. High disciplines of either Sixth Sense or Weapon skill. You have both. You recognize the potion to be distilled Aletair, a potion of strength your Kai Master used Aletair to increase their combat skill. In battle, and there is enough concentrated Aletair in this vial to increase your combat skill by 4 for the duration of one combat. For it to be effective, you must swallow it immediately before you fight. If you wish to keep this Aletair concentrate, mark it on your action chart. Nice. Will be useful against a big boss fight. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if we get back our stuff. The green liquid 289. Manage to remove most of the hardened wax that covers the stopper, and you ease the reluctant seal from around the fragile glass stem. Guy discipline of animal kinship. Or if you have reached the rank of aspirant, which is the case for the aspirant rank. You recognize the aroma of concentrated gallowbrush, or sleep tooth, as it is commonly called in Summerland. This is the thorny briar your Kai masters once used to induce sleep when tending to ill or injured horses. This distilled brew made from the plant is a very powerful sleeping potion. You can keep the potion of gallowbrush as a backpack item. Go back to 10, and the black liquid. The stopper has been sealed with wax. If you wish to break this seal, you will risk smashing the thin glass neck of the vial. You can either break the seal or not. Sounds bad, but why not? We're short only one. It's black, but 54. The glass is very delicate, and it takes all your concentration and skill to avoid smashing its stem. Pick a number from the random number table. Okay. So far the numbers on the dice haven't been very good. If you have the guy disciplines of either Mind Over Matter or Mind Blast, you don't. You can add 3 to the number. D10 roll. 7. Your total score is 5 or higher. Sounds good. You manage to crack the seal in exactly the right place and thereby avoid smashing the thin glass stem. The vapor rising from the black liquid is bitterly sharp and pungent. If you have ever visited the graveyard of the ancients, and if you have healing, that's the case. We have both survived the graveyard of the ancients and have healing skill. You recognize the pungent smell of distilled graveweed. This black concentration is a very powerful and swift-acting poison. Quickly you replace the stopper to prevent its noxious fumes from escaping, but we can keep the graveweed concentrate. Afterward can go back to 10. Backpack itself may be used as a backpack unless you already possess one, and we can leave the chamber at any time. And with this little break, checking potions, we're back to full endurance points. You notice that the ceiling and walls of the corridor are covered with strange carvings. They appear to depict small cyclones or tornadoes gradually changing shape into almost human forms. Although puzzled by the strange engravings, you continue onwards until you reach a point where the tunnel takes a sharp right turn. Only a few feet along the northern wall of the new corridor you can see another stone door. The lever in the wall next to it is raised and the door is firmly closed. Several yards further on, a flight of steps ascends into darkness above. Well, so far we looked at all the doors. Why not? You depress the lever and the stone door slides smoothly aside to reveal a large chamber. It is cold, stale, and empty save for a granite chest positioned near its east wall. Sounds like a trap. Go see anyway. The faces of grotesque and distorted creatures adorn the surfaces of the chest. Their obscene expressions and unnatural proportions make you shudder with revulsion. Set into the center of the lid is a large stone block carved with a hideous face, the mouth of which is shaped around a keyhole. If you possess an ornate silver key, you don't. Carefully, you examine the keyhole in order to assess your chances of being able to pick the lock. If you have the high discipline of mind over matter, we don't. If you have a dagger, we don't either. We have only a short sword. If you do not have the skill or weapon, you must leave the chamber and investigate the stairs. Sadly, an unopened chest in the journey. Climb more than 100 stone steps before arriving at a narrow landing. Pick a number from the random number table. If you have the high disciplines of Sixth Sense, Tracking, or Hunting, add 3. We have all of them, but no bonuses for all of them. 0 plus 3, it's 3. Total 0, 4. Sadly a bad roll again. A good thing that we evaded all the fights so far. You continue upwards until you reach a narrow stone door. Like the other doors you have seen so far, it is controlled by a wall lever. This door also has a small crescent-shaped spy hole cut into its center. Carefully placing your eye to the aperture, you peer into the small room that lies beyond. There, lying on the floor of the cell, are 3 sleeping doom wolves. In the north wall of the chamber you can see a cell door. It is open, and the silhouette of an ice barbarian's back can be seen filling its archway. If you have the high disciplines of Hunting or Animal Kinship, we have Hunting. Without the skills, we can open the door and attack the doom wolves, or back away from the cell. 51. You sense that the doom wolves are sleeping deeply. There is a chance that you can slip past them, overpower the Kalte's guard, and close the cell door before they awake. However, this will be very risky and you sense that the odds are against you. So far, we're sneaky. I think it's not a worthwhile fight. It will be better to not take the risk and simply leave by descending the stairs. Shall reach our goal kind of very soon, actually. As you reach the landing below, you stumble and graze your leg. Lose 1 endurance point. Really a landing below? Well, descending the stairs, that's the most rough and tumbled stairs ever. Sprawled on the stone steps, you notice a narrow gap in the left wall. A door has been cunningly concealed within the intricate carvings. Looking more closely, you find a small lever, which you quickly pull. The stone door moves slowly to one side. It reveals a narrow archway. Beyond that is full of billowing and swirling mist. This curious mist hides whatever it may be lurking in its midst. You're also aware of a severe drop in temperature. You have the high discipline of 6th Sense and have reached the rank of Guardian, which is the case. 341. You can sense the presence of a powerful life force somewhere beyond the misty arch. As you concentrate, you suddenly recall the tale told to you when you were a small child. The Legion of the Vagadin Gate. This was a tale of ice demons and how they once fought a war to be able to leave their doomed world and come to Kalte. They were formless creatures, without shape and substance, and they existed as pure energy in another dimension. Beyond the confines of space and time, the ice demons discovered the Vagadin Gate, a sort of door between their world and Magnamon. They fought each other to enter this gate, unaware of the fate that awaited them here. The Ancients, or Shanti, as they are called in the south, had also discovered the gate. As the ice demons passed through the Vagadin, their spirits were imprisoned in crystals by the cunning Ancients, who harnessed the power of the ice demons to build Ikaya. The Shanti bowls that light the fortress each contain the spirits of lesser ice demons trapped within. You also remember that the tale warns against destroying their crystals' prisons. When an ice demon is released, it will seek to claim the body of its rescuer. Forewarned by your Kai's skill, you enter the misty archway. Roger, don't break crystals. You enter a massive chamber, ill-lit and icy cold. It is a hidden temple of the ancients. The floor is made from slab of quartz and granite and is littered with rock and ice. Your eye follows a line of tall pillars leading towards a sacrificial altar set into an alcove in the northern wall. Upon this altar lies a strange statue which seems to be carved from smooth white stone. At its head and feet, black staves rest upright in holes bored into the altar stone. To the left of the altar there is the darkened archway, through which a flight of stairs ascends out of view. We can either cross the temple floor and advance towards the staircase, cross the temple floor by stepping only on the quartz flagstones, or cross the temple floor by stepping only on the granite flagstones. And there's no kind of hint whatsoever for quartz against granite. I think we should go granite. Sounds more like a floor. Yep, granite. Carefully, you make your way across the temple floor until you are standing next to the altar. The statue seems cold and lifeless, but you sense that someone or something is trapped inside it. You can almost hear their desperate pleas for release. If you wish to strike the statue with a weapon, nope. Not shattering any kind of crystal, even a statue of whatever. If you do not possess a weapon, or you decide to leave the temple, you can add to 306. Liberating or freeing a ice demon, it's kind of sounding bad. So 306. As you pass through the archway, you notice there is a lever set into the dark stone wall. You pull it and the door slides across, sealing the temple behind you. The temperature is noticeably warmer here, and you can hear a low rumbling sound coming from somewhere in the distance. Ahead you can see a light at the end of a dark passageway. You discover it is shining out of an oblong portal positioned close to the floor. Through this aperture you can see the floor of a corridor below. You can squeeze through the portal and drop down, or continue your way along the passage, ignoring that little portal. Would prefer looking through the little portal than going through. Sounds kind of dangerous, so we shall continue on the passageway. You advance into the darkness, feeling with the edge of your weapon for any obstruction ahead. The tunnel continues northwards for more than a mile before turning sharply to the right. A few feet ahead, you can now see a stream of light pouring through another portal. Beyond this opening, there is a staircase that descends down into the dark. You can investigate the portal, or continue your way towards the stairs. Go investigating. 224. 20 feet directly below the portal, you can see a man dressed in a dark cloak. He is kneeling in the center of a large pentagram that has been chalked on the floor of the dingy cell. You can call to the man, or remain silent and leave. Do we call to the man? Well, the prisoner. Maybe it can help us. But so far we are on a kind of sneaky mission. I think we should ignore the man, and maybe you can rescue him afterward, after taking custody of Vonatar. So we can remain silent and leave the portal. At the bottom of the staircase, you discover a new tunnel going northwards. You are about to follow it when your hand touches upon a lever protruding from the wall to your right. A closer examination reveals a secret door. You can open the door. Doors are always better when they're secret. The door slides open to reveal a wide, well-lit corridor running north to south. The low rumbling noise you detected earlier seems much louder here than in the darkness of the passage you have left behind. Set into the left side of the corridor wall is a closed door, and in the distance you can see a junction. Two choices: walk ahead and investigate the junction, or close the secret door and continue back exploring the dark tunnel. So let's go ahead, investigate the junction. Set into the west wall of the corridor, you see another stone door. It has a small crescent-shaped spy hole cut into the center, which reveals a cell on the other side. An old man is huddled in the far corner of this dingy cell, his face and hair matted with blood and dirt. His blue robes are so filthy that the crescents and stars embroidered on them are almost totally obscured. A blue robe with crescents and stars. Sounds like the Brotherhood. Even if we're on a really sneaky mission, I think we shall save this man. Because he's from the Brotherhood of Banadon. "Upon my soul, a Kai!" he exclaims, his eyes now wide with astonishment. "How I've prayed for freedom, for deliverance from this infernal place, and all to hope never deserted me. I never expected such an illustrious rescuer." In the middle of his excitement, the old man is suddenly disturbed by a fit of coughing that leaves him pale and exhausted. It is a few minutes before he can speak again. "My name is Wolkf. I am an elder of the Magicians' Guild of Toran," he says, slowly removing a small crystal star pendant, the symbol of the guild, from beneath his tattered robes. The guild is known as the Brotherhood of the Crystal Star, and the magician shows his pendant as proof of his identity. You ask him how he came to be imprisoned here in Ikaya, many hundreds of miles from his native Toran. "Vonotar, that unspeakable wretch, is responsible for my plight. Days before Dark Lord Zagarna's invasion of Summerlond, he betrayed your Kai Masters to win power for himself, the black power of death and darkness. However, he failed to fulfill his role in the war plans his evil master had prepared. Dark Lords do not tolerate such weakness. Mercy has no place in their wicked minds. In the bitter aftermath of Zagarna's defeat, the remaining Dark Lords sought to destroy Vonotar for his crime of failure. Vonotar knew that I alone possessed the means to effect an escape from their vengeance, for my guild staff has the power of teleportation. He tried to steal it and flee to the safety of Ikaya by himself, but he learned that its power is not for all people to share. Only I am blessed with its secret. He was angry and would have murdered my kinspeople had I not agreed to bring him here. So I had no choice but to conquer. Ever since that day, I have been a prisoner in this cell. Vonotar has tortured my body and my mind, but I have not divulged the secret of my guild staff, which he now keeps in the hall of the Brimall Mark. For if I were to impart its secrets, my life will no longer be of any value. You tell Wolkf of your mission and of the events that have led you to your meeting. He offers to show you a route through Ikaya to the Hall of the Brimall Mark, where Vonotar now resides as ruler. And if you can retrieve his guild staff, he promises to teleport you to the coast in time to rendezvous with your ship. For the first time since you fell into the Caverns of Kalte, you feel confident now that your mission can and will be successful. If you possess a glowing crystal, don't. So, 44 instead. That's a nice find. Wolkf will surely help us at the end. Follow me, says Loikimar. I've listened to the sounds of Ikaya for over a year, and its secret sliding doors and hidden routes are no longer a mystery to me. I have learned more about those corridors and passages from the confines of my cell than Vonotar has discovered with all of his cunning and guile. You follow the old magician through a network of secret passages and tunnels, up long flights of stairs and across chambers dark and cold. At the top of one very steep staircase, you come to a stone door. A strange sickly smell is seeping from a small crescent-shaped spy hole. The kitchens, whispers Loikimar, showing his distaste for Ikaya cuisine by sticking out his tongue and grimacing. You can see that this secret door opens next to a fireplace with a roaring fire. Hanging over the fierce yellow flames is a large stone cauldron laden with bubbling goo. Two ice barbarians sit at the table, nearby with empty bowls resting in front of them. You notice their bone swords are propped against the wall beside the far kitchen. You possess a grave weed, concentrate, or a potion of gallow brush. So we have both. The grave weed is the poison, the gallow brush is the sleeping potion. I think the sleeping potion will be better here. But let's go with the gallow brush. You take the potion from your backpack and open the door carefully, just wide enough to slip your arm through and empty the contents of the vial into the bubbling cauldron. We need to erase the potion. You do not have to wait long for the ice barbarians to fall asleep after their meal. When you hear them snoring, you enter the kitchen. It is small and surprisingly well stocked with herbs. These are from the trading post at Lyuk, says Loikimar, peering closely at the labeled jars, several of which he crams into his pockets. Opening two herb jars, he mixes the contents and offers them to you. It will give you strength, Lone Wolf, he says. You eat the dry leaves and feel a warm glow radiating throughout your body. Restore 6 endurance points to your current total. We're already full anyway. No fight is a great way to not lose any kind of endurance. If you have no weapon, you may also take a bone sword from the sleeping ice barbarians. We have one weapon, so the short sword sounds way better. Turn to 301. We're on the same level as the Hall of the Brumal Mark, whispers Loikimar, peering through a crack in the kitchen door. It's at the end of this corridor. Two ice barbarians are standing beside the jewel-encrusted doors that lead to the Great Hall. They're covered from head to toe in strangely fashioned bone armor, and they are armed with crystal-bladed swords. The old wizard steps back from the door and says, "Must deal with them silently and swiftly." He takes 3 jars from his pockets and mutters a strange incantation as he mixes the contents together in a stone bowl. There is a pitcher of water on the table. He splashes a few drops onto the herbs, and wisps of blue smoke arise. This will silence the guards, if we can just get it close enough to them. If you have the Kai discipline of camouflage, we do. It's the first time it's useful in this adventure. Or we can use mind over matter, or hunting. I think it would be better camouflage. Loikimar hands you some rolled strips of cloth with which to plug your nostrils. You take a deep breath, pick up the bowl of smoking herbs and leave the kitchen. Using your Kai discipline of camouflage, you blend in with the shadows of the corridor, You edge your way nearer and nearer to the unsuspecting guards. You leave the bowl in the shadow of a pilaster and return to the kitchen to wait for it to take effect. In less than a minute, the Kalte's warriors lose consciousness and collapse to the floor, allowing you to approach the hall of the Brumal Mark undetected. Upon arriving there, you are delighted to discover that one of the great jewel doors is unlocked. Preparing yourself for the attack, gently you push the door open and step into Vonotar's chamber. The Hall of the Brumal Mark is a vast chamber constructed of crystal blocks rising to a central plateau. At its center stands the Brumal Mark throne, as old as Ikea itself. There, Vonotar sits surrounded by the tomes and eldritch trappings of a necromancer. He is engrossed in study and does not see you enter the hall. He remains oblivious to your presence until Loikimar unfortunately sneezes. "Who dares disturb me?" hisses Vonotar, rising from the Brumal throne, his eyes searching out an intruder. Upon seeing you, he emits a horrified gasp and fumbles for his black staff. He has the look of a criminal who has been discovered in the act of some dreadful crime. Quickly you raise your weapon and climb the crystal pyramid. You know that you have but little time to reach him if you are to overpower and capture him alive. You reach the edge of the plateau in time to see a wide circle of blocks descending around the throne. Between you and Vonotar, a deep moat is forming. Then from the depth of the moat you hear a ghastly, inhuman gibbering. You brace yourself for combat, but you are totally unprepared for the horror that faces you now. From out of the dark slithers a huge, ghoulish green monster. Its deformed head is a mass of tentacles and suckers that ooze a putrid black slime. At the center of this writhing mass of hideous yellow eye pulsates wickedly. Vonotar has control over this monster and is directing it to attack you. If you possess an effigy, we don't. If you do not possess an effigy but do possess the Summer Sword, we do. 164. The tentacled horror rises out of the moat and attacks you. You glimpse Vonotar raising his black staff and fixing his gaze towards Loikimar. He's attacking the old magician with his mind force. If Loikimar is killed, the secret of the guild staff will die with him. But before you can attempt to save Loikimar, first you must fight this monster to the death. It is an Akraneonor, one of the undead. Remember to double all endurance points lost by this enemy during the combat due to the power of the Summer Sword. We need to win the fight in 5 rounds or less to save Loikimar. First fight of the night. Took a while. So we have 31 endurance points against the enemy 50. Combat skill 23, we have 26, so it's a +3 combat ratio. I think we should keep the concentrated Aletair for a fight against Vonotar. If there's one, but might be one. So let's go at +3. First round. We need to roll around 4 or better to be good. Oh, it's 4. That's the threshold. So 2 versus 8. First round. Second round. 9. Great. No damage versus 14 for the creature. Round 3. Oh, double the points. That's 2 versus 44 actually. 4. 8 versus 2 damage. The creature is dead. 60 total. And we only lost 4 endurance points. And it took 3 rounds, so we're fine. 72. As the vile Akra Honor quivers and dies, Vonotar breaks off mind combat and runs back towards the Brumalmark throne. Loikimar is badly shaken, but at least he has survived the ordeal. Quickly he joins you at the edge of the moat and casts a handful of herbs down into the darkness. Within seconds, a mass of vines and creepers coil upwards and entwine to form a bridge. You are halfway across this bridge when Vonotar suddenly reappears with a crystal rod, head high in his hand. He takes aim at the mass of creepers, and a chilling cone of frost hurtles from the tip of the rod. If you possess the Summer Sword, turn to 213. You point the tip of the Summer Sword towards Vonotar's crystal rod. In an instant, the cone of frost arcs away from the bridge and shatters against the unyielding blade of your wondrous golden sword. Vonotar curses you as once again the power of the Summer Sword saves you from his destructive magic. Your time has come, shouts a voice. Unexpectedly, it is Loikimar, and not Vonotar who is speaking now. A knot of herbs flies through the air and hits Vonotar squarely in the chest. In an instant, the hunchback wizard is engulfed by a tangle of vines that ensnare him from head to toe. Loikimar bridges the moat with creepers and joins you on the platform. Be sure to remove his rings and amulets, he says, as he busily searches for his guild staff. He is a master of trickery. We will not want him to miss the special homecoming that awaits him in Summerland. You marvel at the old man's composure. After such a desperate fight, he seems completely unruffled. Ah, here she is, he announces triumphantly as he withdraws his guild staff from beneath the Brumalmark throne. Pass him your map of Kalte and point out the location of the Cardinal. I'll not be needing that, he replies, a little contemptuously. Maps are invariably wrong. I much prefer to rely on my own sense of direction. The old magician raises his staff and a dazzling beam of light shoots from its tip. He makes 3 wide sweeps of the air, and the hull of the Brumalmark is transformed into an umbrella of spectacular color. As the colors fade, you become aware of a sudden drop in temperature. Find yourself standing upon the Luke ice shelf at a point less than half a mile from where the Cardinal lies at Angkor. Loikimar and Vonotar are close by, both shivering in the chill morning air. Within minutes you are sighted by the ship's lookout and a longboat is dispatched to collect you. As a wriggling Vonotar is hoisted unceremoniously aboard the Cardinal and deposited in the brig, the captain is the first to come and congratulate you on your feat of skill and daring. But how did you manage to return so quickly? He asked incredulously. We were not expecting you for another 10 days. Let us say, interrupts Loikimar, that the wisdom of the Kai and the lore of the Magicians Guild when working in tandem can surpass the limitations of even time itself. A puzzled expression crosses the captain's face, but it is gradually replaced by a smile as slowly he begins to understand the magician's curious answer. Your journey to Enskaven is swift, but you find it difficult to think about anything other than the sad fate of the brave guides that were left behind, and the damage Vonotar's tyranny inflicted on the Kalte's people. No doubt they will continue to consider the Sumlanding as natural foes for decades after what just happened in Ikaya. You cannot help wondering whether you could have handled your mission in a better, nobler way. Your arrival in the port is greeted by an anxious crowd. They fear that your early return is a sign of your mission's failure. When the news of Vonotar's capture becomes known, your warrior skills are required once again, in defense of your enemy against the seething mob of outraged lending that assault Enskaven jail. Safe passage is eventually secured to Taran, where trial awaits the traitor. Upon the dawn of the feast of Maes Marn, in the death of the Guildhall of the Crystal Star, Vonotar the traitor is tried by the High Council of the Brotherhood and found guilty of his terrible crimes. He is led away in silence to the deepest chamber of the Guildhall, wherein lies a Shadow Gate. It is a portal of total darkness, a door to an eternal prison, from whence none have ever returned. You are the avenger of his crimes, and by ancient right, you are the one who cast the wretched traitor through the Shadow Gate, the place that lies beyond this dread portal, the limbo of the Daziarn Plain. Your mission is now complete. You have survived the Caverns of Kalte and freed Summerlun from the menace of Vonotar the traitor. Congratulations, Lone Wolf. Your king and your country rejoice in your victory and salute your skill and courage. You have triumphed in the icy wastelands of Kalte and brought great honor to the memory of your slain fellow Kai. But now there is a new and challenging quest awaiting you. If you have the courage to accept this challenge, you may begin the quest in the Chasm of Doom. Next week, same channel, same time.